Hi, I'm Jay, and today we're tying bucktail jigs. Stay tuned. So, good afternoon. Sitting at the bench, just thought I would turn on the cameras. Nothing special today. We are in the... Oh, bear with me. Camera troubles. We are in the last few weeks before walleye season. And I am just filling the boxes for my springtime trips to all the bait shops. And right now I'm just filling in little gaps here and there in my inventory. And not tying anything special. These are just going to be, or these are just straight black bucktails. I'm using a red size A thread for the collar, and I have I have 5 dozen, and I have 2 more dozen to do. So just filling in the spaces. It's got nice black bucktail. I'm not sure where these were from. I got a bunch. They're really nice. Even the hairs down near the butt, at least on 2 of these last 2 tails I've used, the hair seams, what often is the hollow hairs down towards the base of the tail, the body hair, they were actually kind of flat, but they still had a lot of strength, so I could tie with them. And even though we're tying just a plain color today, it's not even a 2-color jig, it's just a straight black tail. I was thinking about the benefits of keeping this pinch tight through the whole process, and I mention it, almost every time that we sit down, and people have asked me about it in the past, and so we've had some behind the scenes kind of conversations. But I was just sitting here thinking, when you tie a basic jig, no tinsel, no stinger, nothing extra, just 2 colors or 2 tails, so in this case it's 2 black, a top wing and a bottom wing. And how tying a simple bucktail allows you to practice some good techniques. Just pulling out a couple broken tips there. So we get our tails measured, and I'm going to trim this top wing. I'm going to change my pinch, keeping this pinch nice and tight throughout the whole process. Put it in place, I'm still pinching tightly, and keeping my fingers in the way, I can walk the thread back towards the bend of the hook just to the other side of my first wraps, but my fingers keep the thread from advancing too far towards the bend of the hook. And now I walk the thread back up to the head, and I can go back about 2/3 of the way, back up to the wrap straight, back up to the head, back about 1/4, back up to the head. And there is a nice, I call it either a short or a compact collar. So the length of the collar from the head towards the bend of the hook is fairly compact. I'm guessing that's 1/8 of an inch, and this size head is a 1/2. So on any of the larger jigs, the width of the collar should be only about 1/8 of an inch, and I'm thinking all the way up to, you know, 1 ounce or even bigger. Now that rule is not hard and fast, because if this hook shank had a collar underneath our thread wraps there, then your jig, that's going to dictate a little bit, perhaps the size of your collar, the way you tie it on, the amount of hair that is needed to actually fill in and to make a nicely proportioned jig. Let's take a quick look at this. How'd we do? And there are some tires, and it's part of their style, that plate that make a wider collar. It does serve, you know, as long as there's a good reason for tying it that way, you know, shaping the body in a way that has a slim body, maybe 1/3 of the way down the hook shank, and then the tail comes out. You know, whatever the reasoning could be, that might be an okay reason for it. But in the way, and what I think of it is a nicely proportioned jig, is a nicely tied collar, a nice compact collar. So again, we're just measuring. The tail will be the length of the body past the bend of the hook. Tight, tight, tight. I did touch on this on a video that I won't be posting. I was actually doing the same color jig, but adding tinsel, and I thought the video was coming along okay. But I dropped my X-Acto knife in the garbage bag, and when I picked it up and I went to start using my blade again, I just poked myself right in the end of the finger. Nothing serious, it wasn't a slice or anything, but because I was making a point to pinch the tail as we were talking, it wouldn't stop bleeding. So that video will not see the light of day. But I did want to talk about that. I was thinking about it again today. On some of the reasons on keeping this pinch so tight. So here, a couple brushes against my fingers as I walk towards the bend of the hook, but my fingers don't move. So then when I reverse my wraps to finish my collar, when I let go, it's a nice compact collar. And I did, with my fingers in place, walking the threads back, I do go past that last bunch of the very first wraps that are on there. I go past the last wrap there and then walk my thread back up to the head, Makes a nice clean collar. I do see a little black tip poking out right there, but I'm going to fix that when I whip finish this. I'll just add a few wraps. I'll go halfway down and then back. Ice season, I do believe, is officially over. I can't think of any ponds or lakes nearby that are still safe to walk on if there's any ice at all. The rivers look in good shape. A little bit high, but they're not flood or overflowing at all. So hopefully Mother Nature is kind to us this spring. And trout season should be starting in a couple weeks, and then walleye season just a few weeks after that. Catskill Fly Tyers Guild does have a rendezvous coming up, which I've attended a few different times in the past, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make it this spring. We're planning a trip down south of Harrisburg to visit my daughter and her husband. So I'll miss that this year, but it's always a fun time. I enjoy all the events at the Catskill Fly Tyers Guild. The thread I'm using today is the PacBay size A. It's a rod wrapping thread. I do enjoy the PacBay. There's another rod wrapping thread I really enjoy using. The size A is the Fuji Ultra Poly. Very nice thread as well. Again, kept those fingers right in place. Okay, I'm going to show you a little. It's not a mistake per se, it's very easy to fix, but this is the, let me see it. I don't want to adjust my camera, but I'm going to have to. So, turning my vise so the jig is upside down, you can see one wrap here that sticks out farther than the top wraps. So even though I did wrap the collar up to my fingertips, it wasn't quite correct, or I stopped short. But to fix that, very easy. Walk the thread down, line up the wrap, and fixed. I'm working on some illustrations. I don't know when we'll see them, but very similar to fly tying, an illustration on showing the proportions of a bucktail jig. And then also showing the proportion, or the not just the proportions of the collar itself, but showing how the pressure that we put on the wraps. So, you know, just like when your jig is in the vise wrapping from left to right, it's very tight on the side of the collar that's closest to the bend of the hook, but as we get up to the head, there's still tension on your thread, but the pressure we're putting on the bunch of hair that we're wrapping is less, to help build that nice cone-shaped collar. There's been a lot of books and other videos I've seen, people allude to it and kind of discuss it, kind of talk about it on how to do a wrap. Fly tying, they talk about the techniques for locking on materials all the time. So I thought something like that would be helpful. In some ways it helps me explain it because I can put it down on paper and then talk about it without stammering, right? All right, let's tie one more. Let's get back to business here. Let's see. Of course, I forgot to look at the clock. I think we started about noon 30. Some of the hairs on this tail, both sides are very, very long. This is a beautiful tail. Since it's dyed black, I'm using the hair from the sides and straight up the back. You always feel like you're getting your money's worth being able to use the entire tail. You might hear some background noise outside. The wind is howling today. It's beautiful outside, but the wind is still blowing. Over the weekend we were north up towards Seneca Falls on the northern tip of Cayuga Lake. The whole drive up there, wind was just howling, blowing. And again, another beautiful day, very sunny, minimal clouds. The lake looked beautiful. What do we do? Very good. Now I will finish all of these jigs. Once I get a dozen, I will take them down off my rack and I will make sure I put the lacquer-based head cement on each collar. And here I'm just picking up the tail and dropping it so it centers itself. And there's my tool. Let's take one last look. How'd we do? Nice cone-shaped collar. Got an errant hair here. Nice cone-shaped collar. Fairly compact, right? Very nice. But I think that's going to do it for us today. As always, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Feel free to share any of our videos as it does help increase awareness for the channel. Check out the website jworthhandtied.com. We have a whole slew of new jigs on there. But I think that's doing it for us today. Until next time, guys, keep tying in tight lines.